So Apple's iPhone sales today are starting out pretty well. Since the phone was just released today, the numbers haven't been officially confirmed, but from what we've seen and also from the crowds, they're doing pretty solid. It's a very good start. While it's not the massive crowds that it once was back in 2007 and even 2009 and so many other years, the thing is with this year's iPhone that is completely different from any other iPhones that we've had in the last 3 years is that this is the first time that Apple is actually adapting to the market. And this adapting will not only be a big impact to Apple now, but will also be a key role in the future of the smartphone market as a whole. How? Stay tuned. Hey, what is up everybody? Michael here. Welcome back to Technoid. And guys, as you know, today is iPhone day. Everybody is flocking YouTube with unboxings and reviews and blah, blah, blah. Well, good for you. For me, I didn't get the phone. Obviously, I just switched, so there is no real need for me to switch. But from so far what we've seen from the iPhone, it is turning out to be a very big impact on the market and just on one day alone. And I'm going to explain in this video what I mean. Now today's video is going to be both an opinion video and a factual video. So I'm going to lay out the facts and then I am going to give my opinion and then we'll talk about some other stories. So first story, obviously, let's get it out of the way, Apple and the iPhone 11. So as I've said, the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro and Pro Max have officially hit the market. And right now they're doing pretty solid. I went to Best Buy, T-Mobile, I went to all carrier stores, and everybody is flooding in to get the new iPhone. While it's not massive crowds, and at the Apple store, it is still generally a good amount of people that are switching. And this is what I want to talk about. So according to Bloomberg and a couple of other news outlets, Apple's growth for the beginning of their iPhone sales today, flooding the market, opening day, is showing to be a strong positive sign for the company. The people, mass consumers that are going into the stores, the average consumers I meant to say, that are going in are at an increase of 5% from last year. That means in 5%, it doesn't sound that big, but a 5% shift could increase as time goes on. We have to wait and see from the week and so. Now, what does that mean? That means that people that have held on to their iPhones for a long time have finally found a reason to upgrade. And I think that that's where Apple hit the nail this year and what I'm going to get into. Now keep in mind this is all my opinion, you don't have to agree with it, but I think that this year's iPhones are showing that Apple is not only adapting to the market, but they are adapting to their numbers. They need to adapt in order to survive. Now Apple has always been at a philosophy to upcharge prices and do certain things. But in the last year, Apple has kind of started to take a step back from that and look at a different approach. They've started with trade-ins, doubling the value of your old phone, so you could be wanting to possibly upgrade. They've upgraded their trade-in program, so that means that it's not going to be as complicated or stupid as it used to be. And on top of that, their newest iPhones, the iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max, we're going to exclude the Pros, we're going to talk about the iPhone 11, basically hit the nail on what the average consumers are willing to spend on a mass whole. $699 is the target market. $699 is the target price, and the target market that wants iPhones are going to hit there. And the numbers are speaking for themselves. Right now, in this moment, at this moment anyway, I know I sound weird today, guys, but I'm a little tired, but right now, China is sold out of inventory for iPhones. Right now as we speak. And in New York, in the Apple store, they are back ordered on iPhone 11s. The Pro Max is selling decent. iPhone 11 Pro, we don't know much about. But the point is that Apple is looking at the market and is noticing what consumers are willing to spend versus what they're not willing to spend. Apple's idea is pretty much to get consumers to switch to iPhones, give some compelling reasons. Now, Apple hasn't always been an innovator at times. Things were obviously different in the past, but now they've become more of a trade-off. So instead of going for innovation, they hold back and try to work on it before they release. But this case, however, what's different about this year is that they actually listened to the market, they listened to consumers, and they're giving consumers what they feel and what I feel is the best evaluation for your money. You can not only pick up an iPhone 11 for $699, but if you're not satisfied with that, you could go to the iPhone XR and get that for $549. Now keep in mind, the iPhone XR last year was $749. Anybody that got that phone at $749, I feel bad for you because it went down significantly. But with that said though, it is a good entry level because not only does the lineup become more simplified, if you can't afford the $699, you can fall back on the last year's iPhone, which is at a great price range. So for me, looking at the market, looking at the numbers, and looking at what Apple is presenting, this is going to shift the smartphone market as a whole because other large companies like Samsung, Huawei, and everybody has been always doing what Apple does. When their price is raised, they raise the price, but always have a reason to validate the price. Apple has done that, they failed at it, but this time around, there is now a reason to argue that $699 is worth your money. And I feel what Apple did is going to impact Samsung and it's going to impact the smartphone market. Companies are now going to start lowering back, stepping back, and starting to basically make their lineups easier for consumers. Because if we look at the smartphone market as a whole, I've been vouching, I said $1,000 at the start point is not, I repeat, is not a great way to get a smartphone. Now, Samsung has addressed that also with their trade-in by doubling the value of your old phones and even their current phones. So Samsung is slightly behind Apple, but they're still in the ballpark. The point that I'm trying to make is simple. Apple did something that could change the market, and the market is going to pick up on this, and people and everybody, not just people, average consumers, but mass producers are going to take notice, and they're going to try to shift with that market change. And look, I may have switched to the Galaxy Note 10 Plus, and I am not regretting it. But honestly, Apple did something that I don't think that I ever thought they could do. They listened, and they listened well. Say what you want about Apple, about their cameras or their software or this and that. At the end of the day, Apple did something that we thought they would never do, and that was listen. And they noticed the change in the shift of the market. They had to adapt. If they didn't adapt, they were going to fail. So for me, personally, I think Apple did one of the smartest things they have ever done since the iPhone, honestly, since the iPhone SE. Since that. So for me, this was a great move on Apple. So props to Apple for really doing this. And for the first time, I feel that you should be excited now about iPhones again. Anyone that said that the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro were boring, that's a you problem. Everyone goes, oh, I don't like the iPhone 11. I this, I that. My simple answer to this is, I is a personal issue and it has nothing to do with me. If you don't like it, that's on you, man. So I is a personal issue and it has nothing to do with me. If you felt the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro were boring. Because for me, the triple camera setup, yes, it is by god awful ugly. And try talking to Apple employees about that. They will have a fucking million excuses. But just the idea, again, of what they're able to do with those triple cameras, and honestly, the technology is impressive in that system. It could have been done better if it had looked nicer, but look, next year it looks like they're going to change that up, so hopefully we'll wait for next year on that, but overall, that's what I wanted to talk about, how Apple is literally going to shift the smartphone market. Because right now their sales are strong in China, their sales are strong in the United States. We have to wait and see other territories, but right now they're off to a great start and they definitely deserved it. So that is story number one. I spent long enough on that. Story number two is Samsung. So Samsung is already starting on the S11 and we've already got our first rendered image and it is exactly what you would have thought. It is the Note 10 design. Now, obviously, this is not the final thing. This is the first mock-up that is being presented by Ben Getsky, whatever his name is. Basically, this is what it looks like. And yeah, it's just the Note 10. It's not the revolutionary design that everybody was hoping. But to be fair, I mean, honestly, it was never a bad design. I like that design. I think that was a great design. And, excuse me, guys. I had a weird shake. I don't know what's happening in my stomach. But anyway, the Samsung Galaxy S11 is going to basically just look like the Note 10 and the Note 10 Plus. And speaking of the Note 10, apparently there is a rumor going around that Samsung is looking to simplify their lineup by eliminating the Note series. Now, not what you think, not saying that, oh, the Note series is gone. It's going to be reworked. So they are going to release the regular Galaxy lineup and basically do the S11. And when we get to the August point, the S11 Plus would be like the Note. So it would have the S Pen, it would have a bigger screen, it wouldn't be two separate lineups. So you'd have the Galaxy and the Galaxy Note, it would be just under the same lineup, and what would take the place of the Note would be the Galaxy Fold, which they are rumored to be updating yearly, which I think is pointless because nobody is going to buy that phone at that price range. Unless there is a specific need and want for a specific individual, that phone is not going to make any literal sense to an average consumer. So to anybody that's considering that, please reevaluate before you buy that. And to Samsung, I think that is a dumb philosophy. There are other things you could prioritize than the Fold. If you want to keep that lineup simple, just combine the Note and the Note Plus, but you don't have to exclude it. Just keep it in the Galaxy lineup and then make something simple. The Galaxy Fold should be that gap, but again, nobody's going to buy it. So that's on Samsung. They got to fix that. And last story, final thing, Google Pixel event. The marketing is all over the place. Google is basically just leaking it at this point. We have our confirmed date, as you see above, and we are confirmed a color. I'll let you guess what that color is. If you guessed orange, you are probably right. So, the event is going to be in October, as we've expected, and it's going to debut the Pixel 4. Now, I've already talked enough about the Pixel, and I think I've talked long enough on this video, so all I'm going to say is that for the Pixel event, I am going to try to live stream it as best as I can, and I'm also going to give my final predictions later on in the week leading up to the event. But that is it for today's episode. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I know I've been a little behind on uploads, but I've been so focused on school. I've been just trying to get through my first semester in my second year, so please bear with me as there will be a little delays in episodes, but I will still upload no matter what. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit the like button. If you dislike the video, hit the dislike button. And guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and peace!